Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here, and thank you for joining us on short notice. I am here today to announce that the District of Columbia government has reached an agreement with Pepco and Exelon. I want to thank so many people who got us here and who have put their very good minds to work for the people and ratepayers of the District of Columbia. First, let me acknowledge the City Administrator Rashad Young and Director Tommy Wells, and my Chief Legal Counsel Mark Toohey and Attorney General Carl Racine for leading the negotiations on behalf of the district. Let me also acknowledge and thank the settlement signatories who have joined us today. First, the People's Counsel, SANDRA, MATTAVOUS-FRYE, DC Water, the Office Building Association of Metropolitan Washington, the National Consumer Law Center, the National Housing Trust, and others. As you know, in August, the Public Service Commission rejected the Pepco-Exelon merger because it did not do enough to benefit the residents of the District of Columbia, and I fully supported their decision. However, the district deserves a healthy utility company that guarantees affordability, reliability, and sustainability for residents and taxpayers. We have all had concerns about the long-term health and reliability of Pepco. So the district kept the conversations with Pepco and Exelon alive because we knew we had to do better for our city. I sent my team to negotiate with Pepco and Exelon and to keep negotiating until we got the deal that puts district residents and ratepayers first by delivering a public utility that is cost-effective, dependable, and environmentally sound. And today I can say we have reached a settlement that does all of those things. Under the agreement, Exelon will invest $78 million in the district, more than 5 times the $14 million they originally proposed. That $78 million will be used to promote sustainability, increase reliability for utility customers, and create pathways to the middle class for DC residents. The agreement will support the district's goal to become a more sustainable city, devoting more than $17 million to conserve natural resources, preserve the environment, and promote energy efficiency. We will use those funds to generate more wind power, more solar power for DC residents and businesses, and we will more than quadruple our Green Building Fund, which supports the development of green infrastructure projects across the city. Earlier this year, I announced a groundbreaking program to buy 35% of electricity for DC buildings from a wind farm in Pennsylvania. That deal was the largest of its kind in the entire country, buying 46 megawatts of wind power. For comparison, today's deal commits Exelon to buy 100 megawatts from wind. And that's progress. In addition, the merger will improve reliability and service for Pepco customers, strengthening the connection between people who generate their own power and the grid, and allow for microgrids to increase reliability by reducing demand on the full grid. The agreement also will help keep rates affordable. As you know, regardless of the merger, Pepco would seek to increase rates for consumers. But with this agreement and a new $25 million fund, there will be an offset program that protects residential ratepayers from increases through March of 2019. In addition, Exelon will distribute $14 million to residential customers within 60 days of the merger, which will result in a one-time credit of approximately $50 on average for every residential customer. The agreement includes more than $15 million to support low-income and vulnerable residents with additional funding for the LIHEAP program, or the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, that eases home energy costs for low-income residents, which we routinely run out of during the course of any given year. It also provides resources to weatherize homes for low-income residents, including senior citizens. All told, the merger will have a net positive impact on the city's economy. In addition to the investments in renewable energy, infrastructure, and technology, it will create jobs. Exelon and Pepco have committed to relocate 100 positions to the District of Columbia from locations outside of D.C. They will also hire at least 102 union employees within the district in 2 years. They will invest $5.2 million in workforce training to train D.C. residents for good-paying, in-demand jobs. I believe this proposal is good for our economy, for our environment, and I'm asking the Public Service Commission to support the merger. We want to make sure that district residents have opportunities to make their voices heard, and I fully expect the commission will continue to have an open and transparent process that encourages input from the public. Over the last several years, I've heard from countless residents and business owners who told me that the district needs a fresh approach to energy. And that is why my administration has been working to advance a new energy agenda for the district. And our energy needs and our environmental needs go hand in hand. We are launching these programs and initiatives, thinking of new ways that we can bring green and affordable energy to all 8 wards, and we are making creative investments to increase access to clean energy, improve air quality, and strengthen the health of our community. But we also need a utility system that is healthy to get us there. And I believe this settlement is in the best interest of the district now and for our future. So those are generally the terms outlined. I'm going to ask several members to also make statements, and then we will take questions. Our first speaker will be the Office of the People's Counsel, represented by the People's Counsel, Sandra MATTAVOUS-FRYE.
Thank you, Muriel Bowser. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Throughout this process, my sole objective has been to ensure that all consumers receive tangible and measurable benefits. That began at the very beginning. It continued through my trial and my aggressive trial team, as well as through all settlement discussions. And I've said that any utility operating in the district must provide lasting and tangible benefits to D.C. ratepayers and residents. My goal has to be to ensure that all consumers, but particularly residential consumers, got the best deal possible. As a result of my office's trial work, my aggressive trial work, as a result of consumers' outreach and input, which I solicited, and the Commission's final decision, we were able to achieve tangible results. The applicants came back and took us seriously. They made major concessions. And when I look at what was originally filed and compared it to what has been presented to us, I could not, without abrogating my statutory responsibility, not listen and not take into account how consumers would benefit. That includes immediate rate relief. That includes firm and trackable reliability commitments, low-income consumer protections, and jobs for our underserved and underrepresented communities. These are measurable and verifiable, and it will be our obligation, and I commit to you that I will do everything in my ability to ensure that these commitments are followed through. That was one of the principal arguments and reasons for my initial opposition to this proceeding. These goals will benefit, as I said, everyday consumers. There are other interests. There are interests that are special interests, that have concerns, and I don't discount those concerns. But my role is to make certain that all consumers are benefited equally. Just as important are the renewable measures that have been implemented. This is an important objective that must be sustained. And as Mayor Bowser indicated, there are substantial increases in solar production as well as wind power and enforcement of the interconnection provisions. And that was one of the measures and commitments that I insisted to be included in the settlement agreement. The bottom line is that this is a good deal. I am satisfied with it. I think it will move the district forward as long as we keep our responsibility, as we measure up to our responsibility to make certain that it happens. Thank you.
And next, I want to invite our Attorney General to come up and to discuss his views of the deal and his part in the negotiation. Thank you, Mr. Attorney General.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Very briefly, the role of the Office of Attorney General, of course, was to actively engage in the negotiations of the deal. In doing so, we, of course, teamed with Mark Toohey and the Mayor's Office of Legal Counsel and worked very hard with the Office of People's Counsel to ensure that the ratepayers' interest was covered. And I think, as you heard very persuasively from the Mayor as well as Ms. MATTAVOUS-FRYE, we believe we've got a good deal that does look out for the ratepayers on day one with an immediate credit that's going to ratepayers and, of course, forbearance from rate increases for at least 3 years. With that, I'm satisfied that we've worked real hard to push Pepco Exelon to do the right thing for the District of Columbia.
And now, lastly, I want to invite Exelon's Representative Chris Crane. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Yep.
Thank you. We really do appreciate and the responsibility of serving the nation's capital, and we consider it an honor. Being able to go through this intense negotiation over the last 30 days it has been very beneficial for us, and we think, as all have pointed out, it's beneficial for the consumer. Our enhanced corporate presence, along with the local presence of Pepco, will continue to drive our focus on what the needs are in the community. Not only the jobs that we'll create, as was stated, but the charitable contributions that we've committed to over the next 10 years, a minimum of $19 million, we think is significant in helping what the district and the vision that the administration has for bringing the district forward. Improving reliability is not only important for the customers that are here today, but as the city desires to grow, businesses and individuals are looking for a more reliable system, and we're committed to that. The jobs training program that the mayor mentioned, we think is going to be very helpful on finding some of the underserved communities opportunities to come in to learn the technology. Our jobs are generation wealth creating jobs, and we look forward to the opportunity to participate in that. So we'd like to thank the administration and all of the district for negotiating with us, and we're here to serve you if at the will of the commission. So thank you.
Thank you. So we'll take a few questions from press on topic, and please just introduce yourself. Yes, sir.
Brian Wingfield, Bloomberg News. Thanks. I'm Brian Wingfield with Bloomberg News. Mayor, can you outline the next steps for this? What do you have to do with the Public Service Commission? Do you have to reapply? And what's the timeline for that? Thank you.
Well, the applicants, as I understand it, filed a motion today, just before we came in, asking the Public Service Commission the best vehicle to attach the settlement agreement to. So would it be a part of the pending application that's before them, or would it be part of a new filing? And so the applicants will await the commission's response. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Gavin Bade with Utility Dive. In their initial rejection of the merger, D.C. regulators cited what they called an inherent conflict of interest between Exelon's business model, specifically its owning of a large generation fleet, and the district's clean energy goals. Is there anything in this agreement that addresses that, that critique from the PSC specifically? And if not, How important do you think that's going to be going forward as you guys, press for the PSC to approve this?
Well, the critique, and we did pay quite a lot of attention to it, and the agreement had to be able to answer that question. And we believe that it includes practical and enforceable checks on any conflicts that demonstrate how the utility company will be committed to wind, be committed to solar, and be committed to making sure that users can and I'm not going to get all of the terms right, so I'm going to turn to the Office of the People's Counsel to say how we also improved how residential and users can interact with the grid. But I'm going to turn to Sandra to also address how the agreement addresses any conflicts.
The most important aspect of that provision, which will at least identify and attempt to address the Commission's concern with respect to the inherent conflict, are the checks and balances. We have in the settlement, provisions that will require the company to implement specific environmental and sustainability policies. And to the extent that that happens, we will have to measure that, first of all. Are they doing what they said they were doing? What is the level of contribution? And then verify and enforce their compliance. So again, it goes directly to the checks and balances. One of the things that is included that we were clearly responsive to the concerns that were raised deal with the interconnection policies. And that has been an ongoing problem in the district because the time frame between interconnection, and that is when solar producers can actually be interconnected and use their solar power, their solar generation. I mean, that had extended in some places, for example, in California, the connection time is 2 or 3 weeks, whereas in the District of Columbia, it had been months, several months. What the provision does, what the settlement agreement does, is to reduce that and require the company to comply with much shorter timeframes. In addition, we have specific provisions that we recommended, such as the elimination of the $100 connection fee, which we found was useless and not followed through in other jurisdictions. So again, those are just some of the provisions that are in it that address, not correct, because that is, an issue that you're dealing with in terms of a generation company and a distribution company. But it definitely puts the district in a position to ensure that there are no transgressions and that the district is not hurt. In addition, this is also related to the protection of DC, the ring fencing provisions that are established, which actually provide a protection against any bad actions that happen to Exelon as a company so that they will not affect or impact the district.
Have those ring fencing provisions changed at all from the initial merger?
I'm glad that you asked that question because they have, and they have increased substantially. They are more extensive. They are more directed and targeted to ensure that those types of violations or error don't occur. And I would add that, when I looked at the settlement agreement, one of the things that I wanted to make certain is that with respect to each of the provisions, that they were an improvement, so that we actually got more than we initially asked for, more than what was at trial, our trial position, more than the settlement agreements that we had circulated in the trial, and that they were actual, measurable, and you can do a comparison, a parallel comparison, to see that we have substantially improved the asks, the recommendations, and the proposals that the company put forth.
Thank you.
Okay, from this side, any from this side? Okay, sir in the back.
Chris A. Carlo with WDW. Just how looped in was Counsel in the negotiations process?
Which council?
DC Counsel?
Well, the DC Council doesn't have a role. They're not a party to the agreement. Okay, thank you, everybody.